that we're not good enough or qualified for it, and that people will find us out. So we're constantly living in an increased level of anxiety because we don't believe that we deserve it. Welcome to Therapy Explained. My name is Denise Cantor. I'm the therapist of color for people of color and your very own mental health cheerleader. I make videos about all things mental health because I believe that mental health information should be free and accessible to everyone. If you agree and would like to help spread the word, make sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share this video with anyone that you think might find it helpful. Every video also comes with its own cheat sheet that I make available to you on Instagram, so make sure that you're following me there at Talk Therapy. Today's video is about imposter syndrome, particularly as a person of color. So let's go ahead and jump right to it. What is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome oftentimes feels like, well, you're an imposter. There is an increased level of anxiety where we feel that we are not good enough, smart enough, strong enough, or in general just enough to occupy the spaces that we occupy, whether that's a job position, a leadership position, or a level of education, or whatever space it is that we are occupying. We feel that we are an imposter, that we're not good enough or qualified for it, and that people will find us out. So we're constantly living in an increased level of anxiety because we don't believe that we deserve it. Why do we develop imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is strongly connected to the stories that we are told about the spaces that we are allowed to occupy and not allowed to occupy. It is another way in which institutionalized racism shows up and affects us. Because we're not used to seeing people who look like us in the spaces that we are now occupying, we start to question whether or not we belong there. If people who look like you aren't supposed to be a leader, an educator, a boss, then you will start to question whether or not you have really earned it, whether or not you belong there. There are particular roles that we are assigned and expected to fulfill. And the moment that we start to kind of stretch our wings and step out of these stories, we also start to feel a tension from the world around us and other people around us. This is because we start challenging these roles and the stories that they have been told about who we're supposed to be or what we're supposed to look like if we're occupying a space. This is what creates that tension and that questioning within us because of the reactions of other people, of being watched, of being judged. And oftentimes it can come in the form of microaggressions by our co-workers or superiors. Imposter syndrome is unfortunately very common in BIPOC communities because we are restricted to expectations and stories and roles that we are supposed to be occupying and or fulfilling. So how can we manage it? One of the places where we could start with imposter syndrome is by starting to question the stories that we have been told. If you're starting to feel uncomfortable and starting to question the space that you are in, ask yourself, why am I questioning it? What is the story and expectation that I have been told about who I'm supposed to be and the role that I'm supposed to fill? And what have I been told about the role that I'm fulfilling and filling that feels like a disconnection for me? Start to recognize the standards by which you are measuring yourself. Where did they come from and who taught them to you? And start to make room for the idea that people who look like you and that have your experiences are allowed to and deserve to be in the space that you are now in. Another thing that really tends to help is to look through your resume. Now, because we have an increased level of anxiety and because this is imposter syndrome after all, we will start to doubt ourselves a lot. And it can help to actually look at our resume and review all the things that we have accomplished, like jobs, certificates, accolades that we've received, to remind ourselves that we didn't just wake up one day and get here. We're not imposters. We earned it through work, through a long list of jobs and experiences. We're here for a reason. We did earn it. And your resume can be really helpful for that. Another very helpful tool is to reframe. You are starting to push up against previous stories that you were told about who you're supposed to be or who someone in your position is supposed to look like. And while this can be difficult, it's also important to remember that as you're making room for yourself, you're also making room for other people who will look like you. Part of the difficulty is that when you look around you, other people who are in the same spaces as you, who have the same role as you, don't look like you. And that creates a questioning. But the more space that you make here, when someone else comes along that looks like you, they will see you and know, okay, there is room for people like me here, and I do belong here, because they will see themselves in you in some type of way. So remember that you're not just doing this work for yourself, you're also doing it for other minorities and other people from the BIPOC communities. And there is strength in that, there is resiliency in that, and there is healing in that. So let's review before we go. Imposter syndrome is an overall feeling that you don't belong where you are. The job, the position, the accolades, the recognition that you are receiving, you have not earned it, and other people will figure it out soon. Particularly as a person of color, this happens because of the stories that we are told about who we're supposed to be and who is supposed to fill the role that we are filling, and typically it's not someone who looks like us. What helps us manage the imposter syndrome is to remember that we have actually earned our accolades. Look over your resume and remind yourself of the accomplishments that you have actually made. Also remember that you've earned where you are, regardless of the stories that you have been told. Start to challenge them and review the standards by which you are measuring yourself. Reframe this opportunity as well as an opportunity to not just make room for you, but to make room for other people who are coming right behind you to also occupy these spaces. Remember that progress does require practice, so if you give any of these tools, tips, and ideas a try, please make sure to comment down below and let me know. Or if there's already something that you are doing that is helping you, please comment below and let us all learn from you. Your cheat sheet is already available to you on Instagram, so go ahead and hop on over there to get your cheat sheet. But before you do, please give this video some love in whatever way feels most authentic to you. Every like, comment, share, and subscribe helps grow and increase access to free mental health information and education. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, I'm always cheering for you. Therapy Explained is now offering workshops. Every workshop will help you develop tangible coping tools during the workshop itself. It comes with a workbook that has the contents of the topic that is being covered, as well as some journal prompts to help you continue the work that we start together. And there is also a question and answer portion at the end of the live workshops. Alternatively, the workshops are also available to you online so that you can access them whenever is most convenient for you. Go ahead and check it out at therapyexplained.org/workshops.